Ed Reiter was once a teller at MidAm Bank. He eventually became the CEO of MidAm Bank. Throughout his professional life, Ed maintained an active volunteer life. He served on many boards, including those of United Way and the Cherry Street Mission, and he was a founding member of UT's Center for Family Business. He's been named Northwest Ohio's Executive of the Year, Bowling Green, Ohio's Outstanding Citizen, and Financial World's CEO of the Year. Would you please welcome to Shop Talk, Ed Reiter.
Pleasure to be here. I've been retired almost 11 years now, but I look back at my career and I think what made it successful? And was it successful? I guess in a sense I want to answer that question for you. When I started with the company, I was a school teacher at Pennant County High School and just outside of Toledo. And this bank in Bowling Green was putting their first branch in Rossford, Ohio, where I was living. And they were looking for a young man, and they just happened to somebody knew me, and they said, would you like to look at banking? And I said, well, I'm a business teacher. I love teaching business. I teach all different parts of it. And sure, I think maybe it's a possibility I could learn more about banking and go back into education, because I've always loved being a teacher. That was what really was important. When I started with the bank, it was an $8 million bank, had one office in downtown Bowling Green, and we had 15 employees. Working up through that bank over the years, I became the president in 1979, and that started in 1965, and then I became the CEO in 1985. The bank had grown from 200 million, or from 8 million to 200 million in those years. Well, between the time that I took over as CEO and left, about 2005, the company had grown to $17 billion. We had over 600 offices in 6 states. We had over 6,000 employees. We had an insurance company, a leasing company, a brokerage company. It went on and on and on. And was it a success? Yeah, obviously. When I started, it was one of the smallest banks in the country. At that time, there were 14,500 banks. We were like 14,400. And when I left, we were in the top 100 banks in the United States. And still headquartered in Bowling Green, which at that time was the largest bank in the smallest city in the United States. So I look back and people say, boy, you really had some success. And I said, yeah, I think so. I think it was successful, obviously. It made a lot of money, had a lot of growth, made a lot of different type of things. Is that what made you happy? And I said, no. I said, what really made me happy is working with the customers and working with the employees. Never did I allow myself to become an I attitude in the company. It's not what the company could do for me. It's not what the employees could do for me. It's not what the customers could do for me. It's what I could do for them. By raising up in a continual level of the so-called hierarchy of the bank, going from a teller to a head teller to an assistant vice president and up through the line and finally president and then chairman and chief executive officer, that meant only one thing to me. If I had that, I had the opportunity to do more for the customers and the employees and not for myself. Never asked for a raise in my life, and yet I wound up making obviously a lot of money. So if you're in business to take care of yourself only, there's a good opportunity you're not gonna make it. But if you're in business to take care of the customer and take care of your employees and the situation around you, there's a great opportunity for you. Do I miss it being gone 11 years? Not at all. What do I miss? I miss talking to the employees, talking to the customers when I see them. And there's nothing more fond for me than to be going somewhere and somebody comes up and say, hey, I used to work for you, and et cetera, and then give me a hug and all that kind of stuff. It was great. I mean, it was really, really super. The first aspect of that is to take care of the customer. Solve your customer's problems. It's as simple as that. That's the common sense. If you can solve your customer's problems, they don't care if you're 18 or 80. They don't care if you're the president or what other your particular title is, and even if you don't even have one. But when you start thinking that way, you will find out that you will gain customer after customer after customer after customer, because that's what they're after. In the banking business, if a person came in to get their check cashed, what did they want? They wanted to walk out with cash. Well, if they came in and the teller said, no, I can't cash your check, they walked out the bank, you think they'd ever come back? Absolutely not. I wouldn't go to that bank. It was the last bank in the world. So what you have to do is you ask, I can't cash this check, but maybe there's a way we can get it to happen. And to take that customer and work with them on a personal basis, wind up getting a little information about them, and then making a determination. And giving those people on the line the delegation to make the decision whether they cash a check and the authority. And frankly, if they did it wrong, so they did it wrong. I've always laughed at people that say, well, you know, you don't give anybody the risk per se. But I can't tell you, that's probably the biggest thing that helped us grow, was giving the risk and the delegation to people. And people that worried about their mistakes? No. Actually, people that, you know, make mistakes always, or don't make mistakes, always work for people that do. And so consequently, there's people that just won't make any decisions whatsoever. So solving your customers' problems is without question number one, and then solving your employees' problems. In today's world, employees have a lot of problems. They got mortgages, they got car payments, they've got kids in school. And if you can help those people get through that particular period, it is incredible what they will then do in the job. And so you work on their training, you work on their ability to do things that they didn't think they could ever do before. And then you give them the time to do the other things. In our company, we did a couple different things. We had our own training program, and it was absolutely phenomenal. Our own trainers are in a formal school. And then when we gave awards, we just didn't give a piece of paper and say, oh, congratulations, you passed this particular course. We made a big deal out of it. We either put it in a frame or we had it molded so that it was in brass or that type of thing. So the first thing you do is they would do is go home or go to the office and put it on their wall because they were proud of it. You give them a piece of paper, they throw it in a drawer. Pretty soon it's all crinkled up and they just throw it away in a later period of time. You make it a big deal. The other thing is, of all the employees we had another policy. We would never lay anybody off, ever, while I was the CEO. I was against that completely. What did that do? That allowed the people to not worry about their mortgage payment because they know they still had a job. Now, if they messed up and they were a bad person per se, then what happens? You have to make the decision to let them go. But the key was when you take that worry away from those people and allow them to get to things and help them in their personal life, not being involved in their personal life, but letting them have their personal life and time to do it. And it really worked. And then the other thing we did, which was, there were so many of the people, including myself, I didn't have any stock in a company. So we're the first company in the United States to start what they call a program to give our employees stock, a stock ownership plan. And so we paid extra for our people to become owners. And people used to say, as you grew, how could you discipline all these people? I said, I didn't have to worry about it. I said, see that person over there? They got 2,000 or 3,000 shares of stock. You think they want somebody messing up their job and their stock ownership? So everybody became an owner. And consequently, we built that freedom and that opportunity for people from that standpoint. Another situation that I always used to see when working with small business, why do people get into business? And in your room, in your own mind, I'm not looking for answers. Why are you in business? If the business, or your answers are I attitude, I want to become rich, I want to become well known, I want to be such and such. If that's your attitude, I'm telling you, the chances are very slim that you'll make it. Because you'll make the wrong decisions. And you'll make decisions about economics rather than what's best for the customer and what's best for the employee. You have to constantly think about, again, the employee and the customer. and leave yourself out of the equation. Another big thing that happens to so many business, and I learned this in this service. After I graduated from college, I went right into the Army. I was a young officer. And it was right at the beginning of the Vietnam War, early part of the Vietnam War. It was actually 1962, where they were just starting to send advisors to Vietnam. And I got stationed out in Boise, Idaho. But I remember one thing in my training was how to win a war. There are principles that if you follow, you could almost conquer anything in a war. And that's objective, offensive, simplicity, unity of command, mass maneuver, economy of force, surprise, and security. The two that I think are the most important that you should remember, one is objective. What are you going to do? What are your goals? What do you want to accomplish? Have you written them down? Have you looked at them every month, every quarter to see if you're meeting those? They make decisions extremely easy. If our sales goal is to be $100,000 a year, and I look at it at the end of the year in November and we're at 10,000, I'm in trouble. However, if I look at it and I got good accounting and good information and et cetera, and I look at it and we're $1,000 in January, I got to make some changes, because what's going to happen in February, I probably make another 1,000, I'll never make my $100,000. It makes decision making extremely easy. And not enough people take the time to make their objectives and what they're going to do. Not only, it's like in retirement. Lynn and I have an objective. We have God and we have our family. And then anything after that is after that. So if my grandson's running track and there's a meeting to go to, I'm going to track meet. I know exactly what the decision is. I don't have to worry about it. At the same time, I enjoy doing this. I do a lot of mentoring. I do a lot of, it's like you say, speaking. And I talk to a lot of groups, charities, churches, companies, individuals. I am so busy, it's unbelievable. But that's great, because see, that still gives me what I got out of running a company. The relationship and the interest of people. So in essence, I'm still running a company, but I'm not in the company. And I don't have a company, per se. We sold that company for $3.8 billion. $3.8 billion. A one share stock went from $8,000, 1%, to $38 million. How would you like to have owned 1% of that stock and been one of the first 15 employees? I mean, it's incredible what you accomplish. So wealth can be accomplished as a byproduct. Rewards from the community can be accomplished as a byproduct in all these kind of things. I always used to use the example, and maybe he'll be listening, Donald Trump and Mother Teresa. This is how I judge things. It's really interesting. I watch Donald Trump. He does a lot of things. In fact, I had to laugh. I see he was in the Hall of Fame of the World Wrestling Federation. I couldn't believe it. How did he get into that thing? You know, but he's always for Donald Trump. Well, Mother Teresa, God rest her soul, she was for to take care of her people in India and other places where they were nothing but poor, and she was, poorest you could possibly get. She wanted nothing that Donald Trump had other than a donation to her programs. Donald Trump, in my opinion, the way he acts, wants everything Mother Teresa has, which is the honor and the glory and the love and all those kind of things that come with serving others. And he'll never have it unless he starts doing that and not worrying about other type of things like that. I mean, it's amazing from that standpoint. There's so many things I need. I know I don't have a lot of time. This program here to me is a month-long program. I could talk so many about them, but I did make a list of the things that make a business fail, which I think you probably are very interested in, and a list of those that make the business succeed. And let me get that out, and I just won't go through them fairly fast. If you want to write them down or whatever you want to do, or you make a copy, this is up to you. Traits of success. One, a feeling of being lucky. How I look at my life, I raised in East Toledo. I was a rascal when I was younger. My dad moved us to Rossford so my brother and I could play sports there, and my mother worked for the East Toledo Family Center, and she was actually a volunteer. So I had a great upbringing from parents. They didn't have any money, but they were wonderful parents, and they had a lot of love for people. That was great. And I look at my whole career. I worked 7 years in a gas station. 2 years of my senior year at high school. 1 year I didn't go to college. I just worked at a gas station full time. Then I commuted back and forth to BG to get my degree in education. That took 4 years, and I worked in that gas station for 4 years. All day Saturday and Sunday, and Tuesday night and Thursday night. So I had a lot of experience from that standpoint, plus other type of jobs I had to do. When I was teaching, between my 1 year to the next year, I had 5 different jobs. I had a desk job at Pennant County. I used to paint them, sand them, and all that kind of stuff. It was really good from that standpoint. So feeling of being lucky, I look at my life, there's no reason in my background I should have been such and such, but somebody cared for me. Somebody thought I had some ability, or somebody thought something, and that's what worked from that standpoint. Dream bold dreams. When you're a $8 million bank, do you think you'd ever be a billion? That was the biggest dream we could have, of becoming a $1 billion bank. Actually, our dream was become a $100 million bank. And we passed that up dramatically. So we had bold dreams. Not that you're going to work on them, but if you don't put the cart before the horse, if you're going to go to California, you got to start here on 80, 90 and go west. You can't start in Illinois. You're not there. And so many people in business want to start in Illinois, and they never have done the little things they have to do in the first part they're at. A hard worker, long hours. It's really interesting. Most people work 8 hours a day, but I've watched even people from our company that would work an extra hour or 2 hours a day. They made 50% more in income than the other people because they're noticed by management, they're noticed by such and such. So don't be afraid to work long hours, and especially if something happens to be done. A sense of urgency. Do it now. I used to go around in the bank, and I'd go look at desks. If they had a bunch of stuff on it, I'd take it all off and throw it in the wastebasket. So many people put all kinds of stuff on their desk and never clean their desk off. And so they come in the morning, and then what do they look? They look at the desk, and they go, oh, I got all that to do. By the time they quit doing this, they're already 15, 20 minutes, into feeling bad for themselves. And consequently, if you just take one piece of paper off at a time and do it, eventually be the end. If you've got old magazines, old papers, anything, get rid of them. You're never going to read them. But make it look, and make your employees look, if you have employees, that they don't have all this extra stuff to do. Take that fear away from them. I can't tell you how important that is. Enthusiastic. Still listening and learning. I still listen. I still learn. I'll learn a lot from all of you. I get excited when I'm giving a talk to all of you. I look at all of you, and I can see how deeply I care for you. I don't know any of you, most of you, but I know from the smiles on your face and the way you're looking at me and paying attention, I know that we're communicating. A risk taker, and I mentioned that early. People that don't take risks, people that don't make mistakes always work for people that do. So there's nothing wrong with making a mistake. Just don't lie about it. I remember we bought a piece of ground on Cassie's Gate in Glendale here in Toledo. And I was a vice president at the time in charge of our branches. I went to the board and I said, hey, boy, we bought this beautiful piece of ground, if you know where I'm talking about. And there's a bank there, obviously. And the former mayor of Bowling Green said to me, well, Ed, he said, did you lease it? Did you option it? Or did you buy it? Well, here I am in front of the whole board, a young kid. And I'm thinking, I don't know what I did. I don't know. All I know is I got it. So I could have lied. I could have lied about it. But I said, I'm not going to lie. I don't want any part of lying. So I said, Mr. Mayor, I said, I don't know. You know what he said? Well, go find out and let us know. You know what would have happened if I'd have said we bought it? and they found out later I optioned it, where would my trust be? You know, it's like the dishonest butcher that had one chicken left at the end of the night. And a little old lady comes in and says, I'd like to see a chicken. So he looks down, he's got this scrawny chicken, so he pulls it out, puts it on, and she says, how much does it weigh? And he puts it on the scale, he kind of leans his stomach on the scale a little bit, and says, 3 pounds. She says, oh, and it kind of looks bad. She said, have you got another one, maybe a little bigger? He says, oh yeah. So he takes that down, he kind of puts some ice cubes in it, and he puffs it up a little bit, takes it up, puts his stomach a little more on the weight, and says, how's that? She says, 4 pounds. She says, well, let me see that 3-pound one again. So she takes that out, puts it down, takes out the ice cubes, puts it back on the scale, 3 pounds on the scale. She looks at me, she says, I'll take them both. You know, you never know when that's going to happen. And I have found that we had 1 quarter that we lost money in our bank all the time we were there. We literally made millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars. But during the Rust Belt problem in the United States, the late 70s and early 80s and so on, a lot of local businesses went out. And we just kind of kept with those people. And so we had to finally charge them off, get rid of them. We lost money. And I was nervous. I thought I'm going to lose my job and all this kind of stuff. You know, it's the first quarter we ever had a loss. But I went back and talked to the board and then talked to the public and said, hey, we lost money. But here's what we're going to do over the next quarter. This, and this. And we accomplished all those things. You know what happened to our stock? It went up 40% in 1 quarter. From the loss to going up 40%. So all our shareholders made 40% more in 1 quarter. And that's by not lying, not being afraid, not being all those kind of things that happen. But you got to do that. The high self-esteem. I look back at my career, I have nothing to be sorry for. Nothing. But like I said, I don't want to be there anymore. I want to be where I'm at now. I like what I'm doing. A belief in God. Now, this sometimes gets people a little rankled. Some people, not me. I mean, the things that are taught from that standpoint are all good. What's wrong with them? Taking care of people, all that kind of things go with it. What's wrong with it? But a strong belief, strong faith can really help people out a lot. And there's a lot of times when if you don't have it, hopefully you will. It's made a lot in people's lives. Strong personal discipline. I was a member of a country club. I just didn't hardly golf. I was a member of all different things. I didn't have time to do it. If you're a sole business owner and you don't have personal discipline, you're in real trouble. You know, when you're a sole business owner, you can't just come in any hour you want. You can't leave any hour you want. You can't do anything you want. You're the only one there. And if you're the one that has to clean the restroom, you got any choice to clean the restroom from that standpoint. And that restroom is important. A commitment to excellence. And talking about sales in this one. Everybody in your company ought to be a salesman. Most people, a top salesman, historically only about 5% of the salespeople in the country. They want to go out and say, hey, you want to do business with me? Can I get a donation and all those kind of things? But you know what? Why can't the person that types have a sales attitude? I'm going to type the best letter I can possibly type. How about the person that cleans the restroom? I'm going to have that restroom clean and shining so when somebody goes in there, it doesn't look like what they can look like. When somebody walks across the lawn and they're coming up to your office and there's a beer can or a beer bottle or what laying in, why don't they pick it up? It's amazing how many people don't. I don't understand that. So what's the company have to do? They have to hire somebody to pick it up. If they pick it up, then that money that they would save for that person to be hired could go to the rest of the people. We used to have a program, if somebody left the company and there were 4 or 5 people left in the department, we'd ask, can the 4 or 5 of those people do the job? And if they could do it without that person, 60% of that person's pay went to those remaining 4 or 5 people. And you know what? They did it. It's amazing what you can do when the right incentive is there. always used to laugh at people. They'd say, well, you know, I can't get this done. Well, offer a trip to Hawaii. It's amazing how much stuff they get done.